What is going on, everybody, man? King Recon here after that incredible chapter. The moment I got back home, I was like, dog, not even gonna go on the computer, not even gonna upload the video yet. I have to talk about this chapter, man. It has not left my mind. My brain has been working non-stop, and honestly, more than my brain, guys, my heart, man. My heart, because from what I have seen, from Yamato's character so far, the premise alone honestly is hitting home really, really hard, because it reminds me of Cloud's character arc in FF7 and my own personal life journey. And what I mean by that is that if you go back and you look, so I'm gonna go to, this is gonna be an overall afterthoughts. I'll get into some stuff later, but I just can't stop thinking about Yamato's character and where this character arc can go, and the fact that this character arc can truly be my favorite character arc in One Piece. I mean, Yamato has the potential to be one of my favorite characters ever, if this is done in the way I think it's gonna be done. And even if it's not, Oda's the master of storytelling. He could probably do it way better than I could possibly imagine. But this is just what I've been thinking, because this is the stuff that personally resonates with me. You feel me? I'm somebody that is a massive advocate for freedom, especially freedom of self. You know what I'm saying? But to get to that, here we go. One day I told my father I didn't want to be Kozuki Oden. He called me for it, so why are you telling me this? I was there 20 years ago at Oden's execution. I witnessed the hour of legends. You'll never see a greater samurai. And Orochi and my father killed him. I was mortified, but even more than that, I was inspired. I couldn't stop crying. The emotions were so powerful. After that, I found the Kozuki Oden's voyage journal in Kuri. And then that very same voyage, that very same log that Oden took of his adventures, of his journeys, now belongs to Yamato, right? And this has been the thing that Yamato has continued to base her life on, to base the entirety of what's been going on thus far as a source of inspiration, as a source of moving forward, of what I need to do to get to the next step in that goal and or dream, right? So we'll move forward from that, and my father and his crew don't know that this journal exists. His grand adventurous life and very important things are written in here. Now, originally when I saw this panel of very important things are written in here, I originally took that as like Void Century, whatever, and I didn't really take into account Oden's personality and the type of man that Oden is. Knowing Oden and how much respect he had for Roger and how much respect he had for the pirate life after that, I'm sure that he wouldn't write you know, what the One Piece is, what the Will of D is, what the Voice Entry is. You know, he'd probably want you to come up with your own answers once you get to it yourself, just like Rayleigh told them in Sabaody, right? But the other important things there could be connected to Wano, because in that way, I feel like he probably wanted to reveal something very important about the history of Wano, since it is so connected to the history of the world, but specifically for the Kozuki side, right? So there might be something very important when it comes to Kozuki clan and whatnot, but that's not what I'm trying to get to. Originally, that's what my brain was, but not anymore. I mean, it kind of still is, but regardless. And now that the Akazaya Samurai are dead, someone else has to carry on Oden's will. I did not catch this at first, but apparently Yamato still doesn't know that Kinemon and the rest are alive, which is very, very fascinating. But let's go to the next page. That's why I choose to open this country to the world. I want to fight on your side. You said son, right? Well, Kozuki Oden was a man, wasn't he? So I chose to be a man too. I can tell that you're very strong and you haven't even tried your hardest yet, and you remind me of Ace, you know, Kaido's daughter, self-styled Kozuki Oden Yamato. So let's go on into why this is something that means so much to me. Yamato was inspired by an individual that did something that was so grand and incredible that she wanted to become that individual. You know, she wanted to let go of who she is to become that person, no matter what it took. Especially after reading that journal. That journal is something I'm sure that must have amplified the way that she must have already felt. You know, admiration is the furthest thing from understanding, like that famous Eisen quote. And it is a factual thing, man. Once your admiration gets to a certain point where you start idolizing this individual, you're going to do everything that it takes to make sure that your actions, you're basically doing role-playing. But it's a serious type of thing. It's like you're having an identity crisis While at the same time, you yourself, you're like, the only way I can better myself, the only way that I can better the world is if I become the individual who could have changed the world, but instead they died without ever being able to do so. And the reason why I understand this is because I went through it. I went through it. It's why Cloud and Terra's character arcs in Final Fantasy hit home so hard. Because I went through that when I was younger. I went through that. I don't know what age Yamato is, but whenever I was Luffy's age, or a little younger than that, I was going through that identity crisis of like, Flagnards, I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like I myself wouldn't be able to do and carry out the actions and the ambitions that I have, right? Especially if I've been inspired by said individual for so long. I want to become them. I want to become them because that would be easier than me being myself, because I know that I myself am too weak. I'm too weak-willed. I don't have the strength that said person has in order to come out and change the world. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go out and try to become that person. Especially if that person had such a strong impact on you, had such an insane impact on you, that you want to copy every single little thing and make it your own. And let me tell you something, man. And this is something I've never told anybody. Well, my brother. But I was the only one. But whenever I graduated high school, and I was really, really into this story, and I really wanted to write something that could impact people as much as this story impacted me. When I was first writing the story that I've been writing for the past 7, 8 so years, it was pretty much One Piece with a different coat of paint. Because I was like, Flagnards, I need to do everything that man does, because if not, I don't have the skills. I myself don't have the skills, the talent, the ability to do what he does. What Oda does. And it got to the point to where it was like that that idolizing process of like, Flagnards, you know, I see this person as someone who I can never reach. I see this individual as someone who I would never be able to even come close to grasping the masterclass storytelling that they can tell, right? And so, while going through that and while going through the motions, and as life continued to hit me and I continued to learn and get my own style and whatnot, I slowly but surely became my own person within my writing, right? And it was thanks to that, you know, going out and finding myself, going on that true path in life, on my own journey, which I'm still currently on. But it was taking that first step and being like, Flagnards, I do not want to be like, I respect the Flagnards out of individuals like Oda, because it's not just Oda, it's individuals like Oda, Toriyama, Togashi, like these individuals that have inspired me for so many years, and like Kojima, and I really wanted to be like them. And it gets to that point of like, you put them on such a high pedestal that you think that if you don't become them, you won't be able to make a change. You won't be able to cause a change, right? It is that ultra fanboy mode. It is that ultra, like, it's an identity crisis. That is what it is. And so, while I was going through that, I was like, Flagnards, man, I need to change, because I realized that this isn't me. This isn't my voice. Like, I need to go out and show the world who I am. Because if I don't show the world who I am, somebody's going to call me out for it. And I would much rather fail as myself than succeed attempting to be someone else. But it was a process to get to that point. You feel me? Especially when it comes to something, an extremely sensitive topic to me as my career. And the stuff that I really want to do, something in my dream. And going on and writing, right? Now let's go ahead and take this back to Yamato. Yamato, from what I can tell, Yamato's main dream right here is to open this country to the world, right? And I'm going to assume Yamato got this dream after seeing Odin's execution. And after seeing Odin and the legendary, you know, I'm Odin and I was born to boil, you know, one of the greatest moments in this arc so far. And I'm sure that after reading the legendary, she experienced the Hour of Legends for the love of Flagnards. But it was when she read that journal that like everything just hit home and hit the soul, to where she realized, I can make this a reality. I can make that individual's dream, that individual's wish, which is also my own, because I'm sure once we dive more into Yamato's backstory, and see more about her relationship with Kaido. Because I had this conversation with my cousin right after because right after I read the chapter, I needed to call someone, so I called my cousin, right? And we talked for a little while, and we were talking about the possibilities with Kaido and how Kaido, what is this? Well, first of all, what is this plan that he has for Onigashima? But secondly, and I think more importantly, what is this family issue revolving around Yamato? And why is it that it took so long for us to find out about Yamato? It kind of makes you feel like Kaido kind of pushes Yamato to the side. And then we started thinking about how individuals would have thought in the 1600s in feudal Japan and whatnot. And Kaido does seem like the type of individual who really wanted a warrior to be brought up within the place, like to carry the reins one day for him, right? To one day take over. And if Kaido has that old style of thinking, which is where Oda is going with in this arc, really opening the borders to Wano so that the old way of thinking can be out and a new way of thinking, a more open-minded way of thinking can go in with the new. So let's just say, Kaido still, because he is the main antagonist of the arc, he is one of the individuals that has like that main one of those styles of thinking that's from the past. So what about if Kaido continued to tell Yamato as a child similar things to where like Kuina would do back earlier on this series, where Kuina would be in a situation to where she kind of like, she was like, she cursed herself kind of like, why couldn't I be born a man so that I could stand toe-to-toe with Zoro? Because we knew at that point in time she was stronger than Zoro. But it felt like nobody would recognize her as that. Now, when it comes back to the Kaido situation, Kaido, it appears, right, that he's accepted Yamato. But because Kaido is the antagonist, I kind of feel like it's not going to be that easy. I really do feel like we're about to get hit with this dastardly turn where Kaido is the only reason why he's doing this for Yamato, going out and calling Yamato his son, is going to be either A, that he legit does not care to the point to where he's like, Flagnards, I don't care who you are, or B, and this is the one that would really hurt, that he actually really wanted a son. And so when he didn't get that, in his mind, he was like, the original Yamato I know doesn't exist. And I'm gonna create this individual based on the one that I wanted to carry the reins. Because that is the way that they did it in the past. And I feel like that one would really, really want me, personally, for Kaido to get punched all the way back to the Flagnards if something like that were to happen. Just thinking about that pisses me off, right? So knowing Oda and how well he makes these villains punchable, because I'm a massive fan of villains, right? But there's a certain thing in this series where there's certain characters that do certain acts and or certain things where you just want to slap them really hard. And what better way than to have an individual like that in Kaido that went so far as to, go about and say, what, by the Flagnards, I'm not going to accept you as an individual. I'm not even going to accept you as a person that exists. I'm going to give you this name, right, of Yamato, because that is the name that I would have given the son that was born if it weren't for you. And when I think about stuff like that and possibilities like that, it really, really starts hitting home on why it is that Yamato is so passionate about wanting to open the country's borders. Because opening the country's borders isn't as simple as just allowing people to come in and for the economy to flourish. Opening the country's borders is for the flow of information to move in and out, and for people to see how other individuals in the world that interact with each other and how other civilizations go about their things. So you don't have a closed mind of thinking, or a closed mind of thinking that is just reserved to where you are and to the stuff that's been taught to you for so many years, right? And so I think that's why Yamato is so passionate about it. Not that in particular, but it has to revolve around one of those main central themes in Wano. And if that is executed in the way that I know Oda can execute it, this is going to be incredible. Because what we're going to have is Yamato in a character that is currently going through a phase, not even a phase, honestly, a journey of truly coming to understand who she is, right? So let's just say, later on down the line, I don't know what happened with her and Ace. I don't know if her and Ace were a thing. I don't know if the reason why Kaido stopped, or the reason why Kaido was heading to Marineford to go duke it out with Whitebeard, while at the same time Yamato could go rescue Ace. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. But what I can tell you is that if Ace saw something in her, saw the true Yamato, and that was the one time that like something felt really, really special to where she could actually act like herself and not like Odin, and now Luffy brings it out of her as well, I think we're gonna have a moment like the end of Final Fantasy VI that if this moment happens, I am gonna be bawling like a madman because stuff like that I'm weak to. I'm weak to the endings like Metal Gear Solid 2. I'm weak to the endings like FF6, where characters come to the realization that what they've been doing this entire time isn't them. And so when the borders of the country open and Yamato comes to the not even to the realization, just to the point in her journey to where now she sheds the clothes of Odin and becomes who she truly is, regardless of how she wishes to identify after that. It's her own decision. She's not following after somebody else. And I think once that happens and that freedom hits her soul and she's finally able, especially if she joins the crew, and now instead of having to follow after Odin, she goes out and creates her own legacy, writing out the journal of her adventures with the Stride crew and how they went out and went to Laugh Tale and whatnot, or if it's not even with the crew, if she just goes out and leaves on her own and does her own thing after that. But I just feel like there's a massive opportunity here. And it's something that if it's not done, it's all fine and dandy. This is just something that's very personal to me, man. It's something that this series has done so many times in the concept of inherited will and the concept of freedom, which is why this series means so much to me, right? So I feel like Oda has a massive thing here that he can utilize to tell something really, 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 really special. And that is to stay true to yourself. It's okay to have role models. It's okay to have things that inspire you. But don't become them. Stay true to who you are. Take all those things, learn from them, but don't ever forget who you are. You feel me? You know, don't go behind a mask. And I love how the mask does a representation here, right? Like, don't sit behind that mask. Be true to who you are, dog. Shed it. Because at the end of the day, there will be individuals out there that are going to accept you for who you are. That is a major theme in this story. And so what I'm hoping is that within this arc, later on down the line, even right now in the next couple chapters, we start getting those moments with Luffy and with Yamato, where Luffy starts edging around a little bit like, yo, I know you want to be like Odin, but who are you truly? And Luffy knows people more than anyone else does. So Luffy's gonna have his intuition ready to go up in like swimwear. But we're not gonna get that moment until those borders open. Because when those borders open and that dream that she had that was Odin's dream is over, and now she has to continue her journey to go and find her own purpose and her own dream, that is where we will see the true Yamato. And that is the stuff that is gonna hit home so hard. Because once again, it's one thing to see a character and not relate to them and still have that emotional connection to them, but it's one thing to see a character, see your own life's journey in it, and see how, like, honestly, the way that the way that this could be handled could honestly be very inspirational for me, man. Because, like I said, man, it's a topic really, really special to me. And I would love to see, I mean, I'm really excited to see how Oda's going to handle it. But just that premise alone of having a character who's so enamored, so obsessed with this thing that possibly saved her, this thing that possibly took her out of the darkness, that was probably caused by Kaido, right? And as time went on, I feel like it was the only thing she had to grab onto, to where if she felt like if she didn't become it, it would be over from then on out. And so I'm curious, man. You know, this at this point in time, I don't know what's gonna happen in the future. This whole thing could be, you know, relevant to absolutely nothing. But I'm just telling you something that is really close to my heart and something that I would love to see within the story, because it is something that could easily be in there just based on the themes that the series has had so far, right? With the inherited will stuff, man. Because it's one thing, you see, when it comes to inherited will, it's one thing to become that character, but it's another thing to inherit a character's will. Because she may believe that she's inherited this person's will, right? But I just think about it in my case. I want to leave behind a legacy one day, but I don't want anybody to become me. In the same way, I'm sure that Roger didn't want anybody to become him, right? He wanted people to go out and find their own paths, their own journeys, thanks to what he did, right? He opened this pirate era. He said, you'll go out and find the treasure. Go out and do your thing. Live freely. Wealth, fame, power. You know what I'm saying? But I think about it just the way that I would. You know, one day, I do want to leave behind a legacy. But I want people to take that in which I've left behind and make their own thing of it. I don't want anybody to become me, because there's only one you. I want you to be yourself. But I hope in any sort of way that if I can impact you to further propel what you want to do, then that's the best thing I could possibly leave behind. And I feel like that's what Yamato needs to understand when it comes to the Oda situation. It's one thing to become this character, but it's another thing to know what this character would have wanted for you. And Odin truly just wanted everyone to go out and live and be who they are. To live freely. My man's left the country which was his, to go out and find what was truly out there in his own path and on his own journey. That's why I love his character so much. He lived true to himself to the very, very end, even if nobody else saw the way that he did. And so that's where I think Oda is gonna have this opportunity to play around with the concept of freedom and inherited will even more than he ever has in the past within one character arc. And I'm really, really interested on how he's gonna play around with this. The moment he introduced this Yamato character, I was wondering, like, where is this gonna go? And now I see. Now I see. Now I see, man. Because with one character, if everything that I said even comes out to be, and like I said, none of this has to come true, because I know what Oda is. I know that my mans will go out there and create something incredible. But it's just the possibilities already within the premise are telling me that Oda knows what he's doing when it comes to these themes. And these characters are all put into place so that all of them can flourish. And by the time that we finish the arc and we see this whole thing put together as this massive theater, as this massive play, we're going to look back and be like, sweet mother of Flagnards. What an arc. What a story. And man, dude, I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. I really, really can't, because, like I said, it is a topic that I feel like it's not just exclusive to me. I feel like there can be many individuals out there that could see this, and this could be their FF7, right? This could be that moment of realization of, like, Flagnards, I've been faking it for far too long. It's okay to be myself, man. It's okay to be who I truly want to be. It's okay to be who I am. It's okay to be who you are. Which is something that this series has been driving home from the very beginning. The freedom to be oneself. The freedom of self-expression. Not somebody else's. Yours. What do you feel, dog? And I'm sorry, man. I had to get that off my chest because that's the one plot point from this chapter that I have not been able to get out of my head, and I'm so glad I was able to talk about it. Because I couldn't get it out of my head. Because the possibilities are endless. And that by itself makes this character introduction really, really top tier for me. Up there, I mean, Blackbeard's character introduction is the whole reason why I gave that spew in the beginning in the first place. That was the moment for me, man. Like, for Odin, or for Yamato, that being Odin's execution, the Hour of Legends, my Hour of Legends was seeing Blackbeard, the main villain of the series, seeing people's dreams never end. You know what that is, man? To tell somebody, especially when I was going through at that point in time, to tell them that. Like, I'm telling you, man. I vibes with Yamato. I vibes hard, man. I vibes really, really hard. Because, you know, there's circumstances to which you're born, and I'm talking about within, like, the place and the things around you, you know, the things that you've been brought up in. You know, you can't control that. No one can control that. What do you do once you get to a certain point to where you can control it, you know? But that's enough. That's enough. Let's go back to the chapter thing, and dude, what a chapter. So right here, once again, in the title page, let me get some water real quick, dude, because all right. So right here we have in the title page, chapter 984, with Pound, of course, with both Chief Hone and Lola. And I wonder if this is going to be the conclusion. I don't think so. I think we might get more to this color. If we don't get more to this cover page, then the next time that we see them, of course, they'll all be together. And I'm very, very curious on seeing, once again, I will love to see that reunion between Nami and Lola once again, and once again seeing some more of these characters interact with our main cast and whatnot. But just seeing Pound together with them and just how shocked they are, like Flagnar's pops, like holy crap, you know, it's awesome sauce. But and of course having a happy Pez is always good. But let's go through the chapter again, man, because I haven't had an opportunity to really go back and reread it. I've just been thinking about it, you know, like, dude, I don't even care, man. It's a little bad late. I don't care no more. Assist, snap out of it. The rest of your incompetence go call Metal to me, sir. Stupid Yamato, you better not lose sight of those two. Slow them down and tell me where they are. Page One, what about you? You took a nasty shot too. You took a real nasty shot too. Good point. It hurt really bad, or it hurt pretty bad. Almost loosened up my jaw a tad. That's it. Now with this, almost loosened up my jaw a tad. My cousin was telling me that in the scans, apparently it was this part was very, very different, to where it made it seem like Luffy dislocated certain points, or I think he's something like dislocation. I don't remember if it was for Ulti or for Page One, but it was something about dislocation. And I'm going to assume it was for like a dislocated jaw or something around there, right? So Page One says almost loosened up my jaw a tad. You know, continue moving forward here. We get some awesome interactions between Ulti and Page One here. But then here we have Thunder Bagua, more like Blunder Bagua, you know, really awesome comedic stuff between the two. But then right here we get to see a really interesting comment that really perfectly encapsulates exactly how I feel about this. It's hard to believe how tough those dinosaur powers are. And that's facts, man. That is high facts. I feel like I haven't given Ulti enough praise. And I mean, I feel like I praise everything, but Ulti to me, not only is she by far my favorite Tobirropo member, but I feel like Ulti is getting to that point to where, like, she's already become such a memorable character because of the way that she acts. She is genuinely an awesome character, and maybe it is because I'm a Luffy tard, and she feels a lot like Luffy within the ranks of Tobirropo, which is why their clash was so awesome to me. But it's little small stuff like getting pwned, getting hit by the Thunder Bagua by Yamato, tanking it, getting back up, and saying, yo, I'm gonna get Yamato. I'm gonna get her. And like, bro, sweet Aunt Jemima. And then she says, you dare to attempt using Master Kaido's Thunder Bagua. Like, yo, she's talking trash, even after taking the L. I love that. Because it's one thing to talk trash when you're taking dubs. But if you're talking trash when you're taking L's and taking dubs, you're out of the money. You know, that makes for an awesome character. So, really, really love Ulti, man. Ulti is awesome. I can't wait to see more from Page One in particular, because now that he's taken on both Sanji and Luffy, and has come out of both, and you know, pretty heavily injured from both sides, but he's still got out of both. Now, granted, he didn't get the very best of Luffy, but still, he survived a Sendo Smash to the mouth. I mean, he took it to the chin, man. I mean, dudes could have become the Crimson Chin after that. You know, shout out to Crimson Chin, but he legit could have gotten the Crimson Chin treatment, which is madness. But still, oh, and I'll get that Yamato, you dare to attempt using Master Kaido's Thunder Bagua. And he's like, oh, I guess she's fine. You know, she's doing okay. But so then they go off and they run towards Yamato and Luffy. So then we go back over here and we get to see more. We see a clash between Luffy and Yamato. Luffy uses an elephant gun. Yamato stops that with the maces. Yamato's like, yo, just hear me out. Luffy's like, yo, I'll give you 5 seconds. Wrap it up. There are people watching here. I want to go somewhere else. Then no. And we're supposed to slow down Master Yamato? How do we do that? We can't even get close. You stubborn mule. This is only making me remember a battle from the past. Let's talk about that line. When I first read that line, like I said, I had 4 different names. Because there's 4 different characters deeply associated with their stubbornness and how close they are to Luffy, I was like, yo, it's gotta be Roger, Odin, Shanks, or Ace. Of course, now we know that that's Ace. But with that being said, there had to have been some battles. But it says a battle. This is only making me remember a battle from the past. So at one point in time, we don't know if this is whenever Yamato or whenever Ace visited Wano, you know, whenever with the whole Tama situation, which is also very fascinating in itself. With the whole Tama and Ace situation, is that connected here with the Yamato situation too? Are we going to get a full-on flashback more than we did get back? I know for a fact we're going to get an Ace sighting and some more stuff with Ace for sure, which is really, really exciting. More Ace, more greatness, man. I love my boy. That's the GOAT. But, you know, a battle from the past, I do wonder if Oda's going to show that. I mean, he doesn't have to show the full fight, but to give us more context into where things were at that point in time. Because if it really was whenever Ace came to Wano that one time, you know, with oars and whatnot, and then you're getting his hat and meeting Tama, I do wonder if that's going to have more of if that's just more for the lore and for us to understand, you know, just how awesome of a character Ace was, and, you know, the deep connection both to Yamato and Tama and their connection to Ace and whatnot, or if it really is going to be a showcase of, like, where Yamato is from a strength standpoint. Because let's just say that this battle did take place 5 years ago, and we get to see Yamato duking it out toe-to-toe with Goldie Ace. That's going to put Yamato to me on a... I mean, I already have Yamato on a pretty high pedestal in terms of the grand scale of strong members here within the confines of Onigashima. But going toe-to-toe with Ace, that's going to be something. That's going to be something. Because it's one thing to go toe-to-toe with a character. Excuse me. It's one thing to go toe-to-toe with a character that isn't a Logia. But it's one thing to go toe-to-toe with a character that is a Logia. Because whenever you go toe-to-toe with a character that is a Logia, there is a certain level of armament stamina that goes into that. And the fact that it's been 5 years since then, or 4, however many years it's been, since they had that battle, if they real deal did duke it out, then I can only imagine that right now, easy real hockey. You know, easy advanced levels, right? And it just makes for some very, very exciting thinking. My meathead brain and going in like, man, Yamato could have some really, really awesome bouts within this arc, right? And we have no idea how things are going to play out from here on out. But we know that Yamato stated at the end of this chapter that she wants to join the cause. She wants to join us, right? She wants to join what is currently going on. And that's really, really interesting. Based on the original, like, graph, the original mindset that we went into this arc with on, like, who was going to be facing who, based on the individuals over here. And I feel like Yamato throws a wrench into that plans, because if Yamato really is in that same tier as Luffy, which to me, if Yamato took Ace on one-on-one back then with his Logia ability, now at this point in time, there's no question in my mind that Yamato and Luffy are on the same level, like in the same tier, which would mean Yamato would have to fight somebody on, I mean, I'm going to assume, like I said, I don't know how the arc's going to be, if it's going to be like a massive war where there's going to be multiple clashes all around, if it's like a kingdom, I don't know. But Yamato's going to have to fight somebody goat. So immediately my meathead brain gets excited, because I start thinking about Santa Hat level chapters, Yamato going up in like swimwear, swinging that mace all around the place, Thunder Bagua, you know, using a whole bunch of other abilities. And that's another thing when it comes to Yamato too. She hasn't even utilized her own attack yet. Everything that she's done is based on other characters. The Thunder Bagua from her father, wearing Odin's clothes. Like, I feel like by the time that she actually starts doing stuff that is of her own will, of her own soul, it's going to make for some really awesome moments. Even the attacks, man. But regardless, it's going to make for some really, really awesome battle sequences just based on what we've gotten so far. You know, even though right here she was mainly on the defensive against Luffy, still, to be able to be taking these attacks from the king, you gotta be on some sort of level. You know what I'm saying, dog? Like, because we just saw what happened with Luffy taking on both Page One and Ulti. Now, granted, both of them were on the offensive. I mean, Page One was really on the offensive. I mean, he kind of got later on in the thing, but Ulti was on the offensive the entire time. Yamato's mainly on the defensive, but we see right here there's a mass difference in skill here between Yamato and just Ulti and Page One. And Ulti and Page One, Luffy was about to use Gear 4th against both of them, as he should have, because as we saw in this chapter, I mean, one of them can tank Thunder Bagua, so might as well, right? Might as well go Gear 4th. But, so here we go. So do Stubborn Mule. This is only me remember Battle from the Past. I've had enough of you. Looks like Luffy charges up a Red Hawk. Now, when Luffy charges up this Red Hawk, or it looks like it's either the Red Hawk or it's the Rio Hawking, causes a massive explosion, regardless of whether it's either of the two, it's interesting that he utilized that attack directly after the Battle from the Past comment, you know? I wonder what's going to take place. Because after Yamato stated about the Ace thing, do we start off next chapter, like, pretty quickly with Luffy telling Yamato the truth about all this stuff? Because Yamato does not know about the Akazaya Samurai. Yamato doesn't know about what's going on in the world. Yamato, I'm sure, doesn't even know that Ace is dead. So all of that stuff is going to come to a massive shock, right? It would come to anybody. The fact that the Akazaya Samurai is still alive, and the Ace is dead? Will Yamato find out next chapter? Or would that be something that, kind of like how Tama still doesn't know Luffy is Ace's brother, would that be something that would come into fruition later on? To where now Yamato, let's just say, goes to, because I'm pretty sure everybody's going to converge in, like I said during the Sanji discussion, everybody's going to converge where Momonosuke is about to be executed. But Yamato in particular, if Yamato shows up and sees Momonosuke, the real Momonosuke there, the son of the bloodline, Kozuki gang, it doesn't get more Kozuki than Momonosuke at this point in time, aside from Hiyori, right? Speaking of that would be interesting. But Hiyori. So, let's just say Kinemon, Kawamatsu, Kiku, they all go up in like swimwear. and Yamato sees all of them. How does that change the entire thing? And how would they view Yamato? Because Yamato's an individual who, of course, cares about Odin so much that she attempted to become Odin. So, like, how would they take to that? Especially them knowing Odin as well as they did. And how would Momonosuke take that? Guys, very, very interesting thoughts, man. Like, seriously. Like, how would they think about this entire situation when it comes to Yamato? And about the fact that Yamato is that obsessed with Odin. With the journal, with the clothes, with everything, the ideologies, everything. What would they say to that? Especially since Yamato's lived through all these years, alongside with Denjiro, right, and with Hiyori. Yamato's lived all of those things that they didn't live. Because they skipped through time. So how would that... I don't know, man. I don't know, but I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated by their reactions and how they're going to go about interacting with Yamato, because that's going to cause for some very interesting moments of dialogue, honestly. Because we're really going to find out exactly how it is that they would feel about somebody trying to replace Odin. But especially Momonosuke as the son, right? How would Momonosuke and Yamato interact? Both being children of Kaido and Odin. And I know that we had conversations about it before, but now it's even more interesting. Because both sides, because Yamato, I'm going to assume, has like these very high... If Momonosuke were to be alive, I'm pretty sure Yamato would have like this certain expectations, a certain like bar that Momonosuke would have to be on, right? Of like, Momonosuke needs to be like this, like Odin was, or like this. So if Momonosuke doesn't act that way, Yamato's probably gonna be disappointed, and is probably gonna try to raise Momonosuke to be like Odin. But wouldn't that be where Luffy would step in? And Luffy would be like, no. He doesn't need to be like Odin. He needs to be himself. Of course he can take on the teachings of Odin and the stuff they left behind, but he needs to be himself. Which is what he's been telling him to do this entire time. I'm telling you. It would cause for some very, very interesting scenarios. But first, before any of that happens, we need to get Momonosuke the Flagnards out of there. So shout out, we need Stealth Black Sanji. But this part right here really fascinated me. So on what page is page 7? Orochi goes on and he talks about, where did he go to the future? Basically talking about the fact that this is Momonosuke and about Toki being a witch and whatnot. But we see that people are still not believing him, even Onigashima. And like I was saying in the reaction, people really don't respect this man. And I wonder where Oda's going with Orochi. I really, really do, because he's already given him he's definitely vilified him a lot. He really wants to get punched in the face, but he does have those moments where you're like, Flagnards, man, like, his people, just he himself, like, are get treated very, very poorly. And understandably so, right? But still, I do wonder where he's taking Orochi's character, just knowing Oda, and how he writes his characters. But it was just so interesting to me that the characters within Onigashima that are under Kaido possibly weren't there back then, and that he collected like he did all the other characters, to the point to where they would see stuff like this as being tomfoolery and be like, this is blasphemous, or not really blasphemous, but just being delusional. They're like brushing it off just like everybody else has when it comes to the Orochi stuff. And then we're here in the following panel. This is one of my favorite, aside from the Yamato stuff. And honestly, the only reason why it's not this, like I said, it's because of the personal connection I have to the possibilities of the Yamato. No, I can't even say that. Even if I wasn't personally connected, just the fact that Yamato has Odin's flipping journal, and the fact that Yamato is so driven to open the flipping borders, and what I like that whole dream concept. I mean, that by itself was enough for me, and then the awesome design and whatnot. But still, and then the plot twist. I mean, I agree. But aside from that, this was probably my favorite part of the chapter. I loved this. Was some of the funniest stuff in the entire arc so far, maybe in the entire series. Yo, when I can't even tell you how I felt when I saw this man Jinbe like this, bro, and Robin. You have Jinbe like, yo, rock on, brother, totally, dude. And then you have Robin. Don't do it all the way up on the stage, on that stage, bruh. Bring him down here so I can stab his freaking eyes out. And she's in character. I mean, completely in character. Going back into when Robin would assume different roles, you know, in all of the years she spent outside of the Stride crew, and had to blend it into so many different things. It's just, Robin is like the perfect actress, and it was so great. Such an awesome moment. Perfect espionage. Really, really love these interactions with them, and I'm very curious. And we're going to see Hyogoro right here. So, like I was saying earlier in the reaction, I do believe that everyone is going to continue to come into this point, and that's where everybody's going to meet up, and eventually Sanji or whoever it is. Somebody even in my video, in the comment section of that Sanji video, brought up the possibility of Zoro coming in and saving it, because that would make more sense from Wano's standpoint with the whole Sinachi thing, and how Momonosuke has looked up to Zoro, and Zoro's connection to Wano with the Shimotsuki and whatnot. So if Zoro's the one to do it, and now Sanji or a combination of the two, whatever, man, I'll take it. As long as it's an awesome moment. I don't care who does it. But it's just it's my tardiness for that Mr. Prince character, to see that character doing something again that made me think about it in that way. Here we get to see Law again, and this was so awesome. I really love these panels. We're going to see a character I don't think I've seen before from Law's crew. This guy with a faceless face right here. It looks like one of those old masks they would use in plays. And of course we can see his regular crew, but then we see everybody else down here on the bottom, all looking awesome and ready to go like swimwear. And then we get this really, really cool double spread that I really enjoyed. Anytime Law uses room in a chapter is always awesome sauce, but the fact that it was drawn in this way, with the close-ups to his face, seeing the turbulent water in the ocean, as looking at the back of Onigashima, it looks so cool, man. I really like the aesthetic of this double page spread. And then we get into the next one, where we get to see Izo and Nekomamushi. They're reuniting between Izo and Kiku, really awesome stuff. But the scar specifically on Izo's face, like I said, it has to be Shiryu. It's gotta be, man. It's gotta be, which tells me, like, Flagnards, that means, because we haven't seen Jozu, we haven't seen Vista, right? We haven't seen pretty much anybody outside of the Whitebeard crew, outside of the characters that we see here, right? So it's like, mother of Flagnards, when are we going to see them? How are we going to see them? Are we going to see them as damaged as everybody else has? I don't know. But it was really cool seeing Izo here. It really, especially for the Kiku moment, because we know how much Kiku does care for Izo, and, just having them together like this. But definitely the scar really got me. And then Nekomamushi even has this little Barrett arm from Final Fantasy VII here. But Marco right here, man. So Marco starts talking about, we can remember this later, I spotted a strange shadow at sea earlier. Now, my entire thought process was damaged throughout this chapter, because whenever I read the title, I was like, Kuma's going to be in the chapter. So every single page that I turned, I was expecting Kuma. Every single page in the chapter, just based on the title. So when I saw the shadow thing, I originally was like, that's Kuma. But of course now we know that the title was for the journal. So if it's not Kuma, and I still can't believe I thought that. Like, looking back on it, like, man, what an idiot. But still, that's what happens when you react, man. It's raw and unfiltered. I've been thinking, this shadow is gonna lead to us seeing what's going on outside of Onigashima while the battle's taking on, or while the battle's going on. That's gonna keep Marco out of the war for whatever it is gonna be. We already know that he has connections to characters like Weevil. It could easily be a character like Weevil, somebody that I've been saying for quite some time, not only just me, but I'm pretty sure all of you as well. I've been saying he's going to be a part of this arc in some way, shape, or form. He's going to be one of the last entrants in the Royal Rumble, and it's going to have a major impact because we know how strong Weevil can be, and we know that he's searching after characters that have any type of connection to Whitebeard. So, and of course, Marco's stating what he said back in chapter 909, it's safe to assume the Shadow could be Weevil. But what about if it's not Weevil, and who? Who is this strange shadow? What is this strange shadow? Is it one of the members of Big Mom's crew? Is it numbers? You know, what is it? What is this thing? This strange shadow? It states that at sea. It states that it's at sea. It could be a boat. It could be an individual that can fly. It could be an individual that's strong. Does it have a devil fruit? I don't know. But whatever it is, I'm going to assume that it's going to take Marco out of the focus of, or outside of Wano for a little while, to focus on that. He said he's going to go back and check on it. So we'll see where that leads Marco for the rest of the arc. But it's very curious. It's just a strange shadow. I really like the art, specifically in this panel right up here. This is a really, really cool looking panel. Right here. That's I really like that one. Oh, this double spread right here, man. This double spread right here is so goat, dude. With all of Kaido's main squad right here, and I didn't even notice Fukudo Kuju here the first time. Well, I might have, but I was just so shook that King was here too. Where I was like, Flagnards, you know, like, yo, my man just squatted up to the backs. Yeah, Queen Troll and Orochi's like, whoa, and you know, just seeing Jack and King and Queen, but with Kaido, you're like, Flagnards. But this is where Kaido says something very interesting. He says, listen up, I'm going to explain the new Onigashima project. Now, he's talked about multiple things within the arc so far, you know, hinted at certain things, you know, family issue, Yamato, where is my idiot son? Bring him to me because he needs to be a part of this, announcements, yada, yada, yada. For this part, I'm not going to lie, man, I've been drawing blanks. I've been drawing blanks for the Onigashima project. I've been drawing blanks for what it could possibly be. I've been drawing blanks for where it could go with the Onigashima project. Because I just don't know. I mean, there's obvious stuff, right? You know, there's stuff that easily could be something, you know, things that we've seen already in the series. You know, like certain characters handing over the throne to other characters, where like Yamato could take over after Kaido, and Kaido wants Yamato to take over like the Beast Pirates, whatever the case may be. Some sort of deal where Big Mom and Kaido want to have like a each member of each family, you know, marry each other, and of course that would entail Yamato to marry somebody from Big Mom's crew as well, alongside with the rest of them, you know, with King. I mean, I'm sure Big Mom would love to have King, as she said before. So, you know, that would be something that would excite her. Like Flagnar's, like, yeah, man, let's have King marry off one of my daughters, so we could have more. So that could be something too. You know, arranged marriages between multiple portions of the crew, which that's scary, right? That's very, very scary. Those children would be OP. But and then another thing, you know, maybe he's announcing to every single person that they're heading out from Onigashima. Can you imagine something crazy like that? Like, yo, tonight is our last night on Onigashima because now we're going to take on new grounds. And I'm going to announce that Yamato is going to be the head of Fleet X, while myself and Lin will be in charge of Fleet Y, and I'll leave King, Queen, Katakuri, and some others in front of Z. We don't know. There's a lot of different possibilities. Because with this alliance, and with the fact that they want to go out and do whatever it is that they want to do, I highly doubt it's limited to just Wano, because Kaido can take care of Wano by himself. He's going to go big and beyond that, right? Kaido has plans to create the biggest war the world's ever seen, and for that he would have to cause the rest of the world to join in. So in order to do that, I'm sure he must have some grand scheme plans in mind. But this new Onigashima project is just that's such an interesting name, and I wonder what that family issue is, man. Like, whoa, like I understand that Yamato and Kaido don't see eye to eye. That's putting it softly. I mean, he flipping beat on his child whenever Yamato was relatively young, according to what was stated there. And of course, like I was saying earlier, if those things really do come into fruition, and Kaido is like that deadbeat pops who just really didn't give a flying flutters about this kid because it didn't come out as the right gender, that would just be really sickening and infuriating, and of course causes that in of itself would cause both of them to inevitably clash. I mean, not even really clash, but just even worse than clashing, just for Kaido to ignore Yamato, unless Kaido needs Yamato, which would be in a situation like this. And I do wonder how like their interactions even go with each other. I guess we will find out soon enough. But yeah, I really want to know more about this Onigashima project, and to see where Kaido and Big Mom take this alliance from here. And then of course in the next part, this is the part that I was talking about earlier with with how I want Yamato's character arc to go. And then just when it comes to Yamato's design, just in general, a really cool design, man. I don't know what any of these names are like in Japanese or anything, but some things I can highlight on, of course, like the horns, I think are a really cool touch. The little highlights at like the edge of the hair kind of makes it look like flames, and it makes it look really cool, like on the tips. It makes it have like this really cool aesthetic to where it kind of looks like it's blonde and black, or if it's like white and black. I don't know what color Yamato's hair is, but it's like this mixture of two different colors, and it just looks like really dope. And maybe that's just me and my my own personal tastes, and I do really like whenever I see hair with like the tips on the end are colored. If it looks good, most of the time it amplifies it like 15-fold, and it looks really hot. So just seeing that on Yamato's design is pretty dope. But yeah, just a really cool design, and then even more so than the design, the premise and the idea behind the character, and where the character can go from here, and the different possibilities that Oda can take this character is the most fascinating part of the chapter for me, as I'm sure it is for a lot of you. And I can't wait to see the conversation, because like I said, I haven't even uploaded the other video, so I don't know how y'all feel about this chapter, but I'm looking forward to seeing it, man. And then the whole you remind me of Ace. It just makes me think, like, man, where does the story go in the next couple of chapters? Do we get that flashback? Do we find out what she meant by you remind me of Ace? Do we get to see the two of them together? Do we get to see what Ace meant to her? Do we get to see Luffy reveal that Ace is dead? Do we get to see Luffy reveal the Akazaya Samurai are alive? Do we get more from her dream? Do we get more from Luffy, asking her more about like what it is that she wanted, the way that she feels about certain things? I wonder, man. I wonder where Oda's gonna take all of this, but like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm really looking forward to seeing where Oda takes Yamato's character, because this character arc has a very major possibility of being one of my personal favorites, just based on that whole concept, man. Of finding one's true self out on her journey, especially if Yamato ends up joining the crew, not having a quote-unquote dream. The quote-unquote dream is going out and writing down the logs for the Strats and whatnot, but while going out and doing that, creating who Yamato truly is, from the ground up, when it comes to the stuff that for food, for food tastes, and for techniques, for dreams, for motivations, the stuff that comes from inside and not stuff that comes from the outside. That in of itself would be something that I would really love to see. It's something I would really enjoy, seeing and experiencing. But hey, man, maybe that's just me. But like the whole part of this video is, it is just me, man. Or I'm saying I don't know if it's just me, but it is me. That most certainly is something I would wholeheartedly love to see. And man, dude, it's mad late, but I don't care. We were talking about the One Piece awesome sauce. I will see y'all next time. I can't believe the Afterthoughts was longer than the reaction, but for a chapter like this, it needed to be, bro. What an amazing chapter from top to bottom. So many things to, pick apart and discuss, and where things are going to go from here. Just exciting all around, man. And the fact that it's on break, and it's on break on this chapter, it's craziness, man. But I will see y'all next time. Everybody has an awesome sauce of a day. Take care. One Piece awesome sauce. What a chapter, man.